Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is the worst. For the first time, exclusively on Off Limits, I want to share my truth about the time I feel like she sexually harassed me. But Ian, you might say, it's not like you're the first person who's been abused by a member of Congress. Yes, you would be right. After all, sexual harassment in DC is not only encouraged, it's required. You might also ask why I'm even bothering to bring this up now. If there's one thing we learned from the #MeToo movement, it's that not all victims are created equal, and it's not like I'm saying I was assaulted by a Republican during an election year, so who even cares? Well, I care, because it's time to speak truth to power. And the fact is that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, not AOC, because acronyms, even if they're also your Twitter handle, are sexist, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is powerful. So here's what happened. On New Year's Eve in 2021, Ocasio-Cortez was going viral on social media. The pro-lockdown and pro-vaccine mandate congresswoman had fled New York, where COVID cases were exploding, and was photographed in Florida, not wearing a mask and enjoying a cocktail with her boyfriend. People immediately stated the obvious that Ocasio-Cortez is a massive raging communist hypocrite. When Ron DeSantis' campaign welcomed Ocasio-Cortez to Florida, she responded by asking where DeSantis was. By the way, he was with his wife, who was getting chemotherapy. And when former Trump advisor Steve Cortez made a joke about her boyfriend's feet and added an important point, saying if leftists like AOC actually thought mandates and masking worked, they wouldn't be frolicking in free Florida, she responded with this honestly insane tweet. If Republicans are mad they can't date me, they can just say that instead of projecting their sexual frustrations onto my boyfriend's feet. You creepy weirdos. Now, as someone who is genetically doomed to be pale forever, I'm not going to start throwing around insults about pale feet, so let's focus on the other part of this response. The Donald Trump, Barack Obama level arrogance required to believe that anyone who criticizes her is doing so only because they're creepy and sexually frustrated. I responded with what I thought was a pretty obvious retort. I definitely do not want to date you. I thought this was pretty reasonable. Ocasio-Cortez, who is a member of Congress, obviously didn't think so, and put down her cocktail and went nuclear because sometimes green energy just won't get the job done. Here's how she responded. I'm glad you felt the need to share that with the world. Don't worry, this is a totally normal thought to have and share as an editor of a right-wing website, and totally doesn't prove my point at all. I hear if you say it enough times, you'll actually start to believe it. The fact that these people are so creepy and weird, yet are also the ones responsible for shaping the news headlines we all see in media should be really concerning. I don't even want to know what knuckle-dragging thoughts these people have all day while covering women in politics. Let's break this down. First off, Ocasio-Cortez shares literally everything with the world. She live streams almost every waking moment, but I'm not allowed to respond. Secondly, she was the one who brought up the dating stuff. She accused all conservatives of wanting to date her. I'm a conservative who does not want to date her. But apparently saying that I don't want to date her means I want to date her. Consent doesn't matter to Democrats. How shocking. Third, how is it not normal for a conservative editor to respond to her claim that everyone wants to date her? But it's totally normal for a member of Congress to accuse half the country of wanting to get into her pants. So to summarize, AOC, yes, the gloves are off, it's time to get sexist. AOC said everyone wants to date me. I said, no, I don't. And she said, see, I told you everyone wants to date me. Checkmate. Unfortunately, even though I am apparently so sexually obsessed with AOC, it would never actually work out. Not because she grew up in the ghettos of Westchester, New York, which has a median income of just $137,000 a year, worlds away from my experience living under the stairs of my abusive aunt and uncle before being shipped off to a magical boarding school with at best questionable safety precautions for students. Not because she was forced into beverage-related servitude after somehow graduating from Boston University with an economics degree, and I would never be able to empathize with her struggle. And it's not because she couldn't whisper sweet nothings about geopolitics to me as we enjoy a decaf oat milk latte or some bullshit.
Just an increasing crisis of humanitarian condition.
Do you think you can expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd also just, I am not the expert on geopolitics on this issue.
No, it wouldn't work because I'm Jewish. Imagine the wedding. I look adoringly at my soon-to-be wife and who are the bridesmaids? Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. There's no way I could even afford security. And who wants metal detectors at a wedding? Ilhan Omar would be convinced I'm trying to use my Jew hypnosis on her the whole time, and the table plan is going to be ruined when her brother and husband show up and we discover they're the same person. And don't get me started on dealing with Rashida Tlaib, who would bring her own meal because she thinks the soup is made from the blood of Palestinian children. And things would get Even worse when we look at the bride's side of the aisle. Jeremy Corbyn probably wouldn't show up unless his friends could come too, and who wants Hamas and Hezbollah at a wedding leaving nails and ball bearings in the dip? I'd also be quite worried about junior squad members like G.I. Jane 3's Ayanna Presley, but she'd probably fly in under the radar because no one knows who the fuck she is. Nope, it just wouldn't work. Even if I could earn enough Benjamins to keep up my socialist bride's luxury lifestyle, I'd have to sleep with one eye open. Every package, every flight to Florida, every time we take the leased Tesla out for a spin, I'd wonder if that was our last moment together. But getting a bit more serious for a moment, and setting aside the obvious heartbreak I had to suffer through after she publicly turned me down, this painful interaction is just one example of the Democratic Party's weaponization of identity, and why AOC is actually the worst. It reminds me of one of the cinematic masterpieces of our modern age, Mean Girls, where a group of teenagers called the Plastics spend every second of their day craving the adoration of everyone around them. When anyone points out that they're actually terrible human beings, the Plastics just say, "You're obsessed."
Why are you so obsessed with me?
And this is the left's great trick. They elevate their heroes based on identity politics alone, like your group is a solid replacement for ability, pushing them as ideological and cultural superstars. The left now has overnight authority figures who can spit out talking points to their heart's content, all while using their identity categories as shields when they're inevitably criticized for their terrible ideas. Think about it. What happens when you point out that Kamala Harris is half predictive text machine, half Henry Hoover vacuum cleaner who cackled her way to the White House while being utterly incompetent? What happens when you point out that Pete Buttigieg is very good at sounding smart while saying absolutely nothing at all, that he was only made Secretary of Transportation because he's gay and likes trains, and that he took 2 months paternity leave for a child neither he nor his husband gave birth to during a worldwide supply chain crisis and no one even noticed he was gone? What happens when you point out that Hillary Clinton is what you'd get if Emperor Palpatine and that cymbal-banging monkey had a baby? How does the left respond? They go full Mean Girls. Every time you criticize one of their selected ideological heroes for being incompetent or corrupt or just plain evil, you're only doing so because you're obsessed with them. Why do you even care about this person we care so much about, they say. And AOC is the worst example of all. She is, without a doubt, the highest profile member of the Democratic Party, at least in terms of cultural influence. She has 13.2 million followers on Twitter. That's more than Lewis Hamilton, the best racing driver in the world, Floyd Mayweather, the best boxer in the world, and Amy Schumer. AOC also has 8.7 million followers on Instagram and another 1.8 million followers on Facebook. She's on magazine covers. She's on late night television. She's at the $30,000 a ticket Met Gala wearing a dress that says "Tax the Rich," and she's on the news being arrested in invisible handcuffs. All while she repeatedly reminds us how little she knows about, well, anything really, except how to use her position in politics to grow her own notoriety online. And all while using this notoriety online to push terrible ideas, like the complete economic and physical lockdown of her own city, while she escapes to enjoy a drink in a free state. So no, we're not obsessed. We're just engaging with the people the Democrats selected. Just like the Plastics in Mean Girls, Democrats want to have all the attention, except for the attention that comes with responsibility. But they can't have it both ways. Either people are off limits because their skin color or religion or gender or sexual orientation, in which case, stop using that as a substitute for competence, or everyone in public life is fair game for criticism, especially the ones on the top of the tree, especially people like AOC. Luckily on this show, nothing is off limits. Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch full episodes and other clips just like this one. Make sure you ring the bell for notifications and tell all your friends about it.